Hello everyone. This is my first video. My name is Latoya, and basically God has just directed me to just come on and start doing videos and speaking my truth and hopefully being able to touch others in the process. Basically, my platform is to show that this is a open platform where I can talk about different things, whatever God leads me to talk about, and to let you know that you're not alone. So right now, I just prayed over this message. I'm not sure what God's going to direct me to say, so I'm just say whatever comes out of my mouth. So right now, I'm here and follow the light. Follow the light. I understand that a lot of you may be afraid of the light within you. The way I'm seeing it is it's like a reflection. A lot of times when we're around people, we can sense things off of people. We can feel vibes, we can feel energies from them. And sometimes it's not so much the person is a bad person, but you can feel the light within them. So the brighter the light, the more of a reflection that you see. So the best way I can explain it to you is like a mirror. It's like anytime you walk across a person, you're seeing a mirror. Now, depending on the light, the mirror can be clearer or it can be dim where you cannot see through it. So, say for example, if you're walking by someone and they have done the work where they found themselves, where they have healed themselves, where they are in a spiritual journey with God, and they're leading their life that way. And if you're in a position where you haven't healed from your past traumas or the things that you go through and your guilt and your pain, when you walk past them, they trigger you. It's not so much they could be a bad person. It's because their light is so bright that all you're doing is seeing reflection. So say, for example, have you ever been in a situation where someone just starts an argument with you out of nowhere? And a lot of times what we do, we respond back. We get defensive, we respond back. But I have learned that in that process, if you just be quiet and listen, you can hear their pain. You can hear the chaos. You can hear the noise that's within inside them. Meaning that a lot of times people come and yell and scream at you because they're battling something within themselves. And I'm only talking to the ones that know that, hey, you could be just having a good day. You've been minding your business. You ain't bothering anybody. You're just living your life. You're not doing nothing to hurt anybody or anything like that. And if someone comes to you out of nowhere and catch an attitude for no apparent reason. So a lot of times when people say stuff, as you already know, they deflecting. They deflecting their energy onto you, or not deflecting, projecting their energy onto you. But it's because they can see the light within you, and that light disturbs the darkness within them. Now, we all have a light. It just all depends on how bright it is. Some people's lights are brighter than others, and some are dim, and some are turned off. And today we have to realize we have to do the work within. A lot of times we're looking at the outer appearance. Oh, I have to have the hair. I have to have the clothes. I have to have the house. I have to have the car. I have to have the money. Yes, that's great and all. But what is it worth if you don't know what's on the inside? It's like having a home with nothing in it. It's like a brand new home and nothing's inside of it. What's the purpose of having a house with nothing in it? In the same way as in the reality world, you have a home within inside yourself. We are living in the reality and the spiritual all at the same time. So whatever you see on that materialistic side, there's a spiritual version of it. And basically what God is saying is it's time to fix and repair what's on the inside of the home. And based off of that, I know how they say that, don't quote me on it, but basically in heaven, based on what you do here, you can be building a mansion in heaven. Well, that's what's inside of you. You could have a mansion on the outside in the reality world, and you can have be homeless on the inside of your spiritual world. That's like the same as saying joy. When you see a person that's super happy and don't have nothing compared to a person that has everything and miserable, The same way you creating that home on the outside, you have to create the home on the inside. And that's work. You have to build a foundation. No different on the outside world. You have to build a foundation on the inside as well. And the only way you can do that is with God. So what I'm trying to say is this. God is saying it's time to build the foundation on the inside. You have all the materials that you need. He says time to put it together. And the only way you can do that is by fixing the things that's going on with you. So that means like whatever this bothers you, either from a childhood, from a, adolescent, teenage, adult, however, whatever is hurting you, it's time to forgive those people that hurt you, forgive yourself, and move forward. Now I know you're saying that is easier said than done. I understand. But I won't tell you something unless I have went through it myself. It's the hardest process. So say for example, on the outside world, in order to build a house, you need material. You need wood, you need the paint, you need the nails, you need all of that, right? But in order to get the foundation you need, you see these trees behind me? Something has to be torn down first. Once it gets torn down, then you got to strip the outside to cut the wood the way it need to be done. God's saying you need to do the same thing on the inside. You need to go deep within and cut those trees down that you planted. Yes, you planted. See, the thing about it is, when you hear sow a seed, and what I'm about to say, I know folks going to say that's not the right interpretation, or excuse the way I explain stuff, but it's not what the Bible says and this and that or whatever. But I know I've done the work and I've listened to God. I have been in my quiet place and in my season. And you see how the trees around me, I'm in the wilderness. But with being in the wilderness, there's still light. You have to be willing to see it. So in my wilderness season, God showed me all these things. So when it comes to sowing a seed, and I hope that my message is not everywhere, it's going to tie back together. This is how I talk, this is how I speak, and this is how I explain things. At the beginning, it might sound like I'm a little bit over the place, but it all comes back together. So just bear with me. So when God says sow a seed, He's not talking about financial. Sowing a seed is spiritual. Again, we live in a reality and a spiritual world all at the same time. So, when you sow a seed, that means when you're going out here in this world being angry towards someone, you stealing from someone, you manipulated someone, you hurting someone, that's a seed you planted. No different than if you go in this world and you be a service to someone. You see somebody on the side of the road, you pick them up. You see somebody that needs money, you give them. You see somebody that needs some positive words, you provide that for them. Those are the true forms of sowing a seed. It's not the money. It never been the money. We are the seed. We are the water. We're the ground. We are the tree. We are every single thing that's in a reality world, in the spirit. So when you sow a seed, like they said, size of a mustard seed, faith, the size of a mustard seed, anger, envy, fear, it's still the same size of a mustard seed. You don't need much for it to grow. So anytime when we have to sow a seed, we are building that house. So if you sow seeds of fear, anger, deceit, hatred, think of the wood on the outside in the reality form. Haven't you seen wood that was rotting? Haven't y'all seen houses that have rotting wood? It still can build a house. It just don't last as long. How many of y'all have rotten wood inside of your spiritual home? How many of you need to replace the wood in your spiritual home? Because that's a seed you planted. If I'm not mistaken, we are what? 70% water? If that was what it is in the science world, in the reality world, that's how they say it. So that means you are a part of the cup. When you sow a seed, you are also the water that plants it. Also, you are the light. If your light is not bright enough, how can those fruits grow? How can those trees grow? You have to realize that when you sow anything in this world, you are in charge of the maintenance of it. No different in the reality world. You have to pay the bills to make sure that house stays up straight, right? You have to make sure you maintain everything, right? If you don't pay that light bill, do you have light? If you don't pay that water bill, do you have water? If you don't pay that rent or that mortgage, do you have a home? You have to take that same knowledge and place it within yourself. When you look at yourself, you have to ask yourself a true question. At this very moment, on the spiritual side, what house am I living in? And if you're not happy with the home, it's time to cut down the trees and build a stronger foundation. And I understand, just because you might say, I'm in the wilderness, guess what? You see all these trees? It's time to sit back and see which one is good and which one is rotten. And it's time to start cutting down. The choice is yours. Nobody can force it. And when I present these messages, I'm not talking off of religion. I'm not talking about personal beliefs. I'm not talking about the Bible. I'm not talking about the church. None of that. Because guess what? We are all of those things within ourselves. We are the book. We are the church. We are the scripture. We're the light. We're the dark. We're every single thing that's in the material world. Everything. Every single thing that's in the material world, you already have within you. You're the product. You're the business. You're the CEO and the employee. Well, that's basically the same, but you get what I'm saying. You're the customer. When you walk out into this world, any person you meet, you're selling yourself to them, and you don't even realize it. In sales, they teach you there's a director, a thinker, a relator, and a socializer. You have to be all of it. You have to be all of it. You can't pick and choose no more in this world. That's the problem. We want to pick and choose certain things. And the things we're picking and choosing ain't benefiting you. So, what I'm basically saying is, instead of focusing so much on trying to present yourself to the people on the outside, start improving from the inside. Because a lot of times the things we say we want, we don't even need. And the crazy part is, the things you need, you say you don't even want. So, it's time to sow the right seeds within yourselves. I'm not saying you can't go out here and bless somebody financially or whatever when I say so, but that's a donation. Let me let you know that's a donation. Okay? Donate. That's not a seed.